I've been thinking, did I ever tell y'all the one about the cat that loved to eat those Boston baked beans? The candy. No, I didn't think so. Well, alright then, here it go. Once upon a time, there was a cat that lived with this lady. The cat's name was Brat, and the lady's name was Sadie. They had a real good life together. Now, Sadie would go to work, but when she wasn't working, most of her time was spent hanging out with Brat. Even when she would go out, a lot of times she would take Brat with her. Well, sir, Sadie was a middle-aged woman, so she was at that stage of life where she tried to do things to get some exercise in, here and there, where she could. There was a corner store about 2 blocks from where they lived that Sadie loved to go to, and instead of driving there to get some exercise in, she used to walk. Well, sir, Sadie had a more specific reason that she liked going to the corner store, and in particular, that she liked going to that particular store. You see, Sadie had a sweet tooth. She liked candy, and this particular corner store was named Big Ben's Snack Shack. They had every kind of candy you could think of. They even had candy that you've never heard of. So one day, when Sadie was walking home from Big Ben's Snack Shack, one of those kids on the block asked her what she had in the bag. When she said candy, more kids came out of the woodwork with their hands out. You know how that go. Kids and candy. Sadie shared what she had, but that day she realized the joy that she found in sharing her candy with the kids. So from that day on, she would go to the store and buy a lot of candy, specifically so she could give it out to the kids. She soon became known as Sadie the Candy Lady. This made her feel important, and it gave her a new sense of purpose. Before you knew it, she had bags of candy stashed all around the house. Consequently, since she had so much candy, she would leave little bowls of it around the house for, whenever visitors would stop by. Now, Brat would sniff this candy from time to time, but for the most part, wouldn't really pay it any mind. Well, sir, one day, Sadie had some friends over to play Big Wiz. For those who don't know, that's a card game. Gee Willikers. And like she usually does before she has company over, she changed out and refilled all the candy bowls. Now, on this particular day, she put out a candy that she had not put out before. Boston baked beans. So everything was going along as usual that evening, talking smack and drinking cognac, when all of a sudden everybody stopped what they were doing and looked towards the living room. Brat the cat was devouring an entire bowl of the Boston baked beans. They all broke out laughing. They thought it was so cute and hilarious. Sadie the candy lady even put down another bowl of Boston baked beans for Brat after that. The next day, after the card party, Brat told Sadie how much she loved those Boston baked beans, and she told her that she wanted some every day. So Sadie, still tickled by the whole thing, promised Brat that she would oblige. And she did. Every week, Sadie would walk those 2 blocks to Big Ben's Snack Shack and get her candy for the kids in the neighborhood, making sure that she had plenty of candy for everyone. And she also made sure that she got those Boston baked beans for Brat the cat. Now this went on for months. One day, Sadie the candy lady had to go to the doctor for her annual checkup. That day, she would get some news that would change everything. You see, the doc told Sadie that she had the sugar. You know that ain't good. With some of y'all highfalutin folks, y'all call it the diabolics or something like that. But down here, we call it the sugar. But anyways, Sadie was not happy. She cried all the way home. But she knew what she had done. You see, with all that candy she had around for the kids, she was always snacking on it herself. She got depressed. She locked herself up in the house for over a week. Some of the kids from the block even knocked on her door to find out where she was, but she didn't answer. This was a sad time. Well, bathroom break. Y'all know I can't hold it but for so long. Now, it began to dawn on Sadie that she had been giving Brat the cat all those Boston baked beans. And then a cloud of sadness really came over Sadie as she realized that now Brat the cat was fat. What had she done? She immediately took Brat to the vet. And wouldn't you know it, Brat the fat cat had the sugar too. This was terrible. She had to sit Brat down and explain to her that she had to replace her Boston baked beans with meds. Brat was devastated. Not only did she all of a sudden had to lose her favorite food, but now she has to take that nasty medicine every day. Folks, She ran away. She ran and ran, not knowing where, but she had to get a hit of some Boston baked beans. And she wasn't taking that nasty medicine. She saw one of the kids from the block that she recognized, and she pulled up. Brat asked, "Do you have any Boston baked beans?" The kid didn't speak cat language. He just wanted to play. But Brat wasn't having that. She didn't have time to play today. She needed a hit real quick. Then the kid realized that the cat belonged to Sadie the candy lady. And since nobody had seen Sadie, this was an opportunity to find out what was going on. So he picked Brad up and began to walk toward Sadie's house. But he didn't take more than a few steps before Brad realized what was going on and jumped down and ran out of there. She ran and ran, not knowing where, but she had to get a hit of some Boston baked beans. And she wasn't taking that nasty medicine. A little further down the block, Brad saw another kid, but this one she recognized. When she had been with Sadie going to Big Ben's snack shack, Sadie had stopped and talked to this little boy several times. This kid was real young though. He had to be no more than 5 or 6. But Brad stepped to him anyways, 'cause she needed a fix. She explained the whole situation to him. And luckily, he could speak cat language. But he didn't have any Boston baked beans. And he definitely didn't understand anything about diabolics. But what he did was give Brat the cat a light at the end of the tunnel. He explained that Big Ben's snack shack was just around the corner. He said, "Go to the end of the block and make a right, and you there. I swear." So Brat the cat smiled and took off with her tail straight up in the air. She ran and ran, now knowing where. She had to get a hit of some Boston baked beans, and she wasn't taking that nasty medicine. When she got to the end of the block, she had to stop. She was exhausted. All of the excitement had wore her out. She had forgotten that now Brad the cat was fat. But she eventually made the right. And then there it was. Big Ben's the snack shack. She made her way down to the store, and as someone was leaving, she slipped in. She didn't want to waste any time, so she went straight to the counter, jumped up, and there was Big Ben. He was pleasantly surprised and immediately grabbed Brat and began to pet her. He knew Brat very well, you see, as she was famous in that store as that cat of Sadie the Candy Lady. They brought Big Ben a lot of business. He also knew about Brat the cat's love for Boston baked beans, and he put her in a corner and gave her a bowl of the candy. Brat was in heaven. Finally, she was finishing that bowl and was about to ask for another when behind her she heard someone shout, "Brat!" It was Sadie. Big Ben had called her to let her know that her cat was at his store. The gig was up. So Sadie, formerly known as the Candy Lady, took Brat the cat home to begin her medication regimen and begin the rest of their lives together without candy. Now the moral of this story is, don't be eating all them damn Boston baked beans unless you from Massachusetts.